What's happening, everyone? Welcome to Gameball, College Kickoff, Gameball, NFL Endzone, where the football season never ends. We're both your hosts, Michael Riley.
I'm Luke Cartney.
Marcus couldn't be with us once again, so he'll be with us on the next upcoming podcast. So what we're going to do is, since it's kind of time consuming, we're going to combine both episodes into one and talk about what happened in week one of college and football season, and we're going to scroll down to the NFL season for week one, and we're going to give y'all predictions for both college and pro for week two for the college season and for the week one of the NFL season. So we're going to go through and recap what went down in week one of the college season as we do the 14th that we did. Number 6, Washington. Number 9, Auburn. Auburn was able to win a very close game, 21-16. Tennessee got slaughtered by number 17 West Virginia, 40-14. In a very close rivalry game, Michigan fell short to Notre Dame, 24-17. Number 8, Miami versus number 25, LSU. Yeah, they fell flat and got embarrassed, 33-17. So out of these 4 games, we're going to discuss what happened with the number 6 Washington versus the number 9 Auburn. What did you like about that game?
It's actually kind of a hard game to watch. We spend the entire spring, the better part of winter after the Super Bowl, and pretty much all the summer just waiting for football to get back here. And when you look at it in a vacuum, week one, from a performance standpoint, it's usually the worst game of the year that any team will play. They've been hitting their own jerseys for over a month. They've been doing the two-a-days. They're playing a new opponent for the first time. They especially in the college game planning and preparation is new to a lot of guys. Being on TV is new to a lot of guys, and it just makes for very choppy play. Both teams were ugly. Just Washington was a little bit uglier.
Well, for week one, I thought this game lived up to the hype and expected. It was kind of ugly. Both defenses played well, but at the end, Auburn was able to make more plays defensively against Washington's offense, and they took advantage of the not having that All-American left tackle in that game. That was really exposed. And Washington was making a run and getting settled down a little bit into the passing game and get some easy completions for Brownie, but the Auburn's offense was able to hold the ball more and make more plays in the second half, a little bit towards the fourth quarter, because the third quarter, Auburn's offense was nowhere to be found. But the fourth quarter, they was able to make plays and able to score points to get that win, and Auburn's defense was able to set the tone in the fourth quarter to steal that very close win against Washington. Now, Auburn controls its own destiny after getting that week one win to get into the college football playoff talk. Even though it's early, they really needed that win to solidify themselves to get in that talk into that 14 college playoff. So if they can afford to lose one game going to the conference, so a lot of people's like Auburn's schedule is easy. It's not easy towards the end of the season. You have to play.
They play LSU in 2 weeks.
Exactly. And plus, towards the end of the season, you play, I think, Mississippi State. Then you have Alabama. Then you have another SEC team. Auburn. Georgia. So those are the 3 brutal schedules towards the end. So if Auburn can win 2 out of 3, then they'll be in the college football playoff conversation. All right, we're going to talk about a next close game that came down to the wire, Notre Dame versus Michigan. Notre Dame was able to hold off a very close game, 24-17. What did you like about this game, Luke?
Michigan, they were on the verge of getting blown out, but they ran that kickoff back to kind of got them back in the game there. I think it was 14 or 17 to nothing at that point for Notre Dame, and they just that kickoff return really saved them on that. I think the Michigan defense, they gave up the long touchdown pass, the long 50-yarder from Winbush, who the receiver. It's kind of a risky throw into double coverage with the receiver. Notre Dame's got some big receivers, but this guy's like 5'8", 180. He was still able to open, Randy Moss it. So
Michigan,
Michigan
what you
got
think
Moss.
about that? What you think about that catch though by him? Was that nasty or what?
It probably should have been picked. I think when he left his feet, he was thinking like a defensive back to just knock it down. I think he kind of caught it by accident almost.
So
But that was the highlight of the game, though.
So he kind of mistimed it in a way.
And then, yeah, and old Shea Patterson, looks like the jury's still out on him. Michigan, they play Western Michigan this week. I think they play another group of 5 school after that. I know they play SMU the week after that. Yeah, so they get SMU's group of 5 as well. So they'll have a chance to get right after this game. It's just that the thing about Michigan and Washington is that if Michigan runs the table from here on out, their only loss is at number 12 Notre Dame week 1. If Washington's only loss is that top 10 Auburn on a neutral field week 1, they'll be at least in playoff consideration. But both them schools have no room for error.
Well, I say I'm gonna get into the Notre Dame Michigan game, but for Washington, they're kind of on the outside looking in because the Pac-12 schedule is not really a good look for the Pac-12. It's kind of weak, and for Washington to get into the playoff conversation, they have to get that win against Auburn. With this loss, it kind of hurts them, so I don't know if the Pac-12 would have a representative.
Well, yeah, but if they run the table, they'd be 12-1 on a 12-game winning streak.
I hear you, but you always got to find out what the playoff committee is thinking. That week 1 loss could hurt Washington. I'm just saying. I don't disagree with your point, but it's always up to the playoff committee, and you never know what they're going to do. That's why we've been screaming for playoff expansion. Well, for Michigan, they had their chances, they had their opportunity, and they just keep shooting themselves in the foot. Shane Patterson, I think from my understanding of the game, he had an interception. I think he did, but I have to go back.
227 yards, no touchdowns, 1 pick.
Yeah, 1 pick, and he also had a fumble loss, that hurt Michigan's chances of coming back to time to go to overtime. So they didn't execute well. They had too many penalties, and there's some juries out, or could be out, that Jim Harbaugh might be gone as the Michigan coach, which I think is stupid. But a lot of people be like, is Jim Harbaugh out of the coach? We don't know. But Michigan has to go back to the drawing board, look at film, what they didn't do right, what did they do wrong, and execute better. Because going to the Big Ten, they got a brutal schedule. I'm just like, wow, that schedule is brutal. So if they can go finish at least 1 or 2 not 2. They have to finish with 1 loss in the conference. If they can at least finish with 1 loss in the conference or go undefeated, then they can get their name back into the playoff contention. But right now, they're on the outside looking in.
And when you talk about Notre Dame, though, Michigan was a huge hurdle for them. They have games at Virginia Tech and at USC, a 12-0 Notre Dame team with the win over Michigan already. That goes together. Before the Michigan game, they had about, right here making the playoffs. Now they're about right here. They beat Virginia Tech as good as they looked against Florida State. Now they're right here. So, Notre Dame did themselves a huge favor getting that win.
Exactly. So,
and they're independent. They almost have to go 12-0 to make the playoffs.
Exactly. There is no room for error for Notre Dame. And Notre Dame, they won this game off execution. They made less mistakes. Even though they were higher ranked than Michigan, they felt like they was underdog. They didn't get no respect. And they took advantage of Michigan's weakness and turned that to their favor to win the game. Offensively, they did an outstanding job. They was able to dominate at the point of attack, was being very physical against that Michigan's defense, and was able to chew time off the clock and make more plays.
The thing that worries me about Notre Dame going forward, though, is that they let that game pretty much wire to wire. So I still don't think Notre Dame's built to come from behind. You have to think at some point they're sure they're going to have to do that.
Well, yeah. And
I look at the Miami game last year. They fell behind, and it's all she wrote.
Well, they're learning from that, and also they had all their players come back and experience. So
they have a road game at Northwestern this year too. Northwestern looked really good against Purdue Thursday night as well.
Oh,
so
yeah.
they got lots of opportunities, and they got played Navy on a neutral field. It's a schedule littered with landmines, that's for sure.
And Notre Dame, control his own destiny. With that week 1 against Michigan, they controlled their own destiny. Defensively, they looked good until towards the end. And special teams, you got to do better. You can't give up a long kickoff return for the touchdown and get momentum back. So if they can fix those things going forward, Notre Dame will be fine. All right, that will do the first part of this segment. When we come back, we're going to get into the NFL part. The new helmet rule, which got everybody head scratching, just going insane for explanation. So don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. Gameball College Kickoff, Gameball NFL Endzone, where the football season never ends. Gameball NFL Endzone, where the football season never ends. Now we're going to get into the NFL side of the part and talk about the NFL helmet rule. The NFL implemented a new helmet rule late March. League officiating crews round visit team training camps, educate coaches, players on the changes, but there has been confusion among some players the past week leading up to the league releasing the facts on previous weeks under the new directive, which has player safety in mind, and a foul player lowers his head, initiating to make contact with the helmet on an opponent. The contact is not limited in opponent's head, neck area, lower area of the head, initiating contact around the player's torso, hips, lower body considered an infraction. While the fouls are easier to determine in an open field, the rule will apply anywhere on the field. According back to the sheet, penalties will apply violations including 15-yard loss or ejection, which includes set standards. Player lowers his helmet, establish linear to body posture prior initiated contact with the helmet. So what do you think about this new rule, helmet rule?
It seems like it could be, you know how they say, you could really call holding every play if you really wanted to, or like with every Hail Mary pass, I mean, you could really call pass interference every Hail Mary. I think it's kind of one of those things, kind of a judgment call. I think they got a little carried away with it with the in the preseason. However, I think it would just kind of set a precedent, plant that seed in the players' heads. Moreover, I highly doubt you'll see it called on the defense, 10 to 15 times for every one time it's called on the offense, which is just ludicrous to me. Because the offensive players are just as guilty as anyone.
Oh, most definitely. So,
offensive players with the ball, of course.
Yeah. So if an offensive player, like a running back, can lower his helmet and not get a flag using the helmet.
Yeah, Walter Payton, Peterson, Marshawn Lynch, these guys would all, be getting flagged. At least they had back in the prime of their careers anyway. That rule was intact.
Yeah, so if they could get away with that, why can't defensive players able to play out at least the same way, or at least be fair and call them for lowering the helmet and the penalty, and you're supposed to implement that rule, but you have it during the preseason. It's mostly the defense during the preseason. It's like, I understand player safety, they're trying to eliminate the head injuries with the concussions and all that CTE going on and all that other stuff. But sometimes you cannot control it. You're elite running 100 miles an hour, and some of them hits that the players is trying to work on, it's really questionable. I'm like, how are you supposed to defend yourself when a running back's coming at you? You have no choice but to go a little bit lower than a running back, but sometimes the running back lowers his helmet. Same thing with the receivers. If they lower their helmet, what are you supposed to do about it? You know what I'm saying? Can that be an offensive call penalty if a receiver or running back lowers his helmet when the defender is trying to properly tackle. I mean, what's going on here? It's insanity, and I think it's going to cost some games to some teams that needs to get into the playoffs because of this. We don't know going forward how this is going to affect the regular season, but it's ridiculous to me. And how you supposed to do it, I don't know. I mean, you're trying to tackle and wrap up the best way you can. I get it, they want to eliminate the launching part and the helmet to helmet. That part, yes, I get that when a player launches himself and tries to hit him like that. But sometimes there's things you can control, there's things you can't control. And for the offensive players, especially receivers, and if they launch themselves and block a player and with the helmet of the defender, they don't get a flag for that. But if a defender does that to a receiver, they'll flag that all day and get a fine, suspension. They'll go to holy grave, whatever, for the defender. But if you're going to call that, be fair about that. Call it for both sides. Call it on the offensive side and get them a flag for it. If you're going to call a defensive player for it, so it has to be fair, and the officiating has to want to make that call offensively, because if this applies for everybody, it applies for the offensive too. They're not that special. I mean, they're putting points on the board, but most of the offenses get away with murder nowadays, and they really don't call no defensive players. So this rule, I agree with this to the extent, but come on. Some things you can control, some things you can't control. Like, for instance, with the preseason, like when the Minnesota and Jacksonville Jaguars game, when the players sacked the quarterback, it was like personal foul using the crown and helmet. I was like, it was shoulder to the stomach. So what did you thought about that hit?
Like I said at the start of it, I just think the refs are getting, kind of carried away with it for preseason.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Because the refs, they want to officiate playoff games, more upper tier, games, towards the latter part of the regular season, where the December games are, for lack of a better term, playoff games. And I think it would be in the back of their mind, okay, if I'm calling this silly helmet rule, if I overdo it, I'm going to be getting, regulated lower tier football games in December and missing the playoffs. So everybody wants to ref the playoffs.
Exactly, and we'll find out and see if it costs some teams some games or it doesn't cost teams some games.
Well, it's going to cost teams some games one way or the other, because they're either going to throw a flag costing someone a game, or there's going to be someone who's going to make the, violate the helmet rule, and it won't be called, which, is costing a team a game as well. No one's ever going to talk about that because no plays can be thrown. They only talk about the plays that are thrown.
Yeah, and especially with teams with playoff implications on the line and try to get into the playoffs, there's going to be time where it's going to get called if a team needs to win to get the playoffs. That's going to cost.
Well, okay.
That's going to start.
A little foreshadowing. Texans are playing the Patriots week 1. All right. Let's say Texans got a late lead. Patriots are trying to get in the field goal range or touchdown range, whatever. It's 4th down. They throw over the middle. Gronk gets hit. There's a helmet-to-helmet collision. Now you have a decision to make. It's not an obvious, real, it's a defender making a play on the ball. There's, what am I trying to say? Unintentional helmet-to-helmet contact. Okay, do you throw the flag and do you give the Patriots the 1st down at field goal range, or do you swallow the whistle and give Houston the win? So either way, that call is going to be costing one team or the other the game. So,
well, it's going to cost some teams some games late in the season as well. Implication, if they really need to get into that last wild card playoff. Say, like, for instance, if a player goes over middle for like a post route or like a stretch vertical when they line up at the slot, if the receiver catches the ball and the defender does the proper way to tackle, and the receiver lowers his head down Then all of a sudden it's helmet collision. Do you call that on the defensive player or do you call that on the offensive player? And just be fair. If you're going to make this rule, don't be one-sided. Be fair. Hashtag it. Be fair. Okay, that would do it for second segment. And when we come back to the last segment, we're going to give you our predictions and picks to talk about the teams coming up for the college and to the pros. So stay tuned right here. Gameball College Kickoff, Gameball NFL Endzone, where the football season never ends. Gameball NFL Endzone, where the football season never ends. The last segment of the show, we're going to do matchups and predictions for both the college and the NFL. So let's get to the college. Our number 18, Mississippi State versus Kansas State on the road. Explain this matchup.
Well, Mississippi State beat Stephen F. Austin 63-6 last week with a backup quarterback as Nick Fitzgerald was suspended for an incident that happened back in the spring. Oddly enough, it wasn't announced until like less than a week before kickoff. But no problem for the Bulldogs; they were able to roll there. K-State, they won. They did anything but roll though. They had four turnovers. Alex Barnes had 3 fumbles, lost 2 of them. Both quarterbacks threw a pick. Delton threw a pick 6 right before halftime. It was impressive the K-State defense though. They as I mentioned, the offense turned the ball over 4 times, and one of those turnovers was a direct score. So if you take away the pick 6, the defense basically going to give up 17 points and none in the second half. So I kind of expect that to be a similar theme for K-State, not only against Mississippi State, but going forward. They seem like I think there's going to be a lot of first halves this year where K-State appears to be struggling, but I think they're going to be they're one of the best teams that make a halftime adjustments, whatever. I think K-State's going to be one of the best second-half defenses in college football this year.
Mississippi State, like you were mentioning, rolled all over their opponent week 1 as they should. Going to week 2 in a hostile environment, not so easy. For them to get this win on the road, they have to be dominant the point of attack offensively. On both sides of the ball, no penalties, no mistakes. Because if you have penalties and mistakes, K-State is known to take advantage of that, turn it to points. And you want to force them to 3rd and long. So if you force K-State offense to the 3rd and long, then you've done your job, and you can force 3 and outs or turnovers. Now, for Kansas State to win at home, they have to look at film from week 1, like what did we do right and what did we do wrong to get the win at home against a good team. And I know it's going to be, the energy will be live and all that because they're playing another SEC team. So can they right their wrong from last season when they lost on the road to an SEC team, Vanderbilt, and get an upset win at home? I don't know. Offensively, you cannot have mistakes against a very good defense in Mississippi State. That front 7, they're going to come at you. They're going to come swinging. So they're going to stop the run. The only way for K-State to win this game is the offensive line has to protect both quarterbacks. We don't know which of them is going to play, or they're going to use their 2-quarterback system. And defensively, you have to force Mississippi State to be one-dimensional. If you force them to be one-dimensional, then you've done your job. You can win this game. But we don't know yet, but K-State has a lot of work to do against a very good Mississippi State team. All right, number 3, Georgia versus South Carolina. This is going to be a very intense game. It's going to be a battle. It's going to come down to a dogfight to the end. But the team with fewer mistakes is going to win this game. So for Georgia, they have to start strong, get the running game going, and once the running game's going, get the passing game going. The offensive line has to block good and block well, can't have mistakes defensively. Just keep doing what you're doing, balling out, because they return most of the stars their defense, and that defense is raw and ferocious. Now for South Carolina offensively, against that Georgia defense, you cannot have mistakes. There is no room for mental error. If you have a mental error, Georgia is known to take advantage of that and beat you in your own game. And you have to stop them on third down, especially defensively. If you can do that, and you'll be in a very close game, but you can't have mistakes both sides of the ball, offense, defense. That includes special teams. So if they can do those faces, they'll get the upset win at home and put their name in the conversation. So what are your thoughts on this game?
Georgia's got to rely on the quarterback experience, which they didn't have last year, and Jake Fromm. DeAndre Swift, he's also a sophomore this year as well. They get them going. Georgia, they want to start fast, get the South Carolina crowd out of it. They get an early lead, it could be ugly early and often. South Carolina, on the other hand, I mean, you never want to be behind, but if they can just if they can just be within a score at halftime or the start of the fourth quarter, the longer they're behind or tied or by only one score or less, the better chances are.
All right, number 2 Clemson versus versus Texas A&M. This might be a heavyweight main event fight. Muhammad Ali versus Joe Frazier, all the greats that went at it. So talk to me about this game.
Dabo Swinney and Jimbo Fisher are 4-4 all time against each other when Jimbo was at Florida State. So Texas A&M, they've never been short on talent. They kind of had a sluggish first quarter of their first game. Got it going there. Went on to a win by I think 54-14 or something along those lines. As expected, they were playing an inferior opponent. Clemson, they beat Furman, I think it was. So this is basically game 1 for both these teams. They played some scrimmages last week. Clemson getting 12.5. I'm a little surprised about that. But when we're doing our conference previews, I did have Clemson losing the game at Texas A&M. So when we get to our picks, see if anything's changed since then. A&M, they match up at certain spots. Just is it enough?
Well, I look at both teams. Like you mentioned, Texas A&M did have a struggle. Once they scored their first touchdown offensively, they never looked back. They got rolling. The running game was excellent. The passing game was phenomenal. It seemed like when Jimbo Fisher came there, kind of cleaned things up offensively, getting to that pro-style offense, that quarterback looked more comfortable anything from last season. Don't you kind of agree with that?
Absolutely, yes.
Because once while watching them taking a snap from the center, he was just himself, just calm, cool, and collected, and didn't seem really phased. So I figure he's more better for the Jimbo Fisher offense than to the previous coach's offense. And defensively, they had their mishaps here and there, and they had a player ejected from the game for targeting, that was not smart. So if they can keep their composure and keep their emotions in check, because this is going to be a very big game. It's going to be a lot of hype, and players are going to get excited, a little bit over emotional. But if they can keep their emotions checked, both sides of the ball, then they have a shot to win this game. But Clemson, oh my lordy, when I say that word, oh my lordy, especially that defensive side, woo, that front seven, especially that defensive line, all of them came back for a reason because they got embarrassed by Alabama last season in that 14 playoff game. They got rolled all over. So they came back, they want to right their wrongs and want to get back into that 14 playoff. They got 4 defensive line projected to go in the early first round. You hardly hear that because most of this time, this era, the kids that are in their junior year go into their pro year, but they decide to come back and they want to get a chip before they leave, and I commend them for that. Offensively, if Kelly Bryant to eliminate the mistakes and get it going, get that running game going, and especially be consistent in the passing game and be more precise on the deeper route ball, then they'll have a shot winning at home. So, not at home, but on the road. And so, the sky's the limit for Clemson. It'll be a good game. last game of the college is number 15 USC versus number 13 Stanford. The rivalry renews again in week 2. This is going to be a very interesting game for Stanford. They have to get the running game going because last week against San Diego State, the running game was nowhere to be found. And they held Bryce Love in check. I mean, he had about 15, 16 carries for 10 or 12 yards. That was like a career low for him. I mean, they just kept in check. So they got to get the running game going. The offensive line has to be physical in the running game. The passing game was good. The quarterback looked good in the pocket. He had his hiccups here and there. Whether he cleaned it up and got him going defensively, they were just flying all over the place. They were a little shooken up in the first part of the game, but once they got going, they started rolling. USC. If I'm USC, I'm taking the page of what San Diego State did to Bryce Love that running game. Shut it down. You have to do that to get this game on the road. If you can do that, you can win this game. So for them to do that, they have to shut down the running game, force Stanford to beat them in the passing game, and offensively, they looked good. The new quarterback looked pretty good, but we'll see how he looked good against Stanford's defense. So if they can do that, they can win this game. All right, it's time to picks for the college part. Mississippi State versus Kansas State.
K-State, it's not unlikely to struggle that first week against FCS opponents. 2011, they had to score a last-minute touchdown to beat Eastern Kentucky. Started 7-0, went to the Cotton Bowl. 2013, actually lost to North Dakota State at home. Went 8-5, beat Michigan in the Wild Wings Bowl. I believe 2014, I think it was, they played against Missouri State. Was up 10-9 at the end of the third quarter. Won 51-9, very misleading 51-9. Wound up playing Auburn a few weeks later. They actually played Iowa State the game after that. They were up 13-0 at the end of the first. Down 28-13 at halftime. Iowa State scored 28 points in the second quarter. Came back to win. I think they had Auburn. They had Auburn beat. They missed 3 field goals though. My suspicion is that they had Mississippi State on the mind last week. So and they got evidence of slow starts and overcome them before. I think Fitzgerald not playing last week. I think it's going to hurt him. You know, everybody's coming to the game with at least 2018 experience. Not him. K-State's defense, they didn't get any turnovers last week. I think they probably, it's going to be a neck-and-neck game first half. Mississippi State might be up a touchdown at halftime or so. But, third quarter, K-State, you're going to come out, you're going to break out their own little turnover chain right there. Get that own little turnover chain right here in that third quarter. And K-State's going to get that fourth quarter lead, going to have that Rocky sellout Bill Snyder Family Stadium crowd going. And the Cats are going to win 35-31 in just an absolute thriller.
I love your enthusiasm. I love the energy way you bring it.
No field goals. They kicked too many field goals last week. They ain't going to cut it this week, and they know it.
But I'm sorry. I'm going to be realistic here. I'm going with Mississippi State because of that front 7 defensive line. I can't look past that. I mean, K-State has a very good offensive line. Might be one of the offensive linemen in the country. But against that ferocious Mississippi State defense, they're going to have their heads thrown. It's going to be the grudge match. But I feel like offensively, even though Fitzgerald got suspended, but he will lead the team. And they'll get the win, a very close win on the road. So I'm going to say Mississippi State gets the win on the road to Bill Snyder Family Stadium. The score of 27-24 Mississippi State. Georgia versus South Carolina State. I think it's going to be a very close game in the first half, and Georgia somehow runs away with it the second half to extend the lead against a very good South Carolina team. I just don't believe their offense. So for those reasons, I'm going with Georgia to win, to save the score of 38-21.
I'm going Georgia 38-24. I kind of echo a lot of those thoughts. They're getting a hefty 9.5 on the road there against the top 25 team. That just echoes how good Georgia is this year. Not a whole lot of times for it, not a whole lot of opportunity for Georgia to make a lot of statements this year. They go to LSU. They get Auburn at home. Georgia Tech, we'll see what that game is at the end of the season in the non-con. But, 38-24 Bulldogs.
USC versus Stanford.
USC is just so head and shoulders above everybody else in the Pac-12 South. Stanford has to go to Washington. Oregon looks like a bit of a real deal this year too. They got an NFL quarterback pulling the trigger for them. So this could be these two teams actually did play twice last year. Could play twice again this year. Time will tell. I mentioned Notre Dame earlier going to USC. They get Stanford at home mid-October. So Notre Dame is going to be like the best 12-0 team of all time if that ever happens, schedule-wise anyway. I'm going home to those. Stanford wins 35-30.
I'd go with the home team as well. I think they get the running game going, get Bryce Love going. The pass game still be consistent. But I just think with a young USC team, they're not built for this game against Stanford. So I agree with you. I'm going to go Stanford to win the score of 30-20. All right, we're going to do a short and sweet and get to the NFL side. Houston, Texas.
I like Clemson over A&M. We didn't touch on that one.
Oh, yeah.
Even though I said in the summer A&M's going to win that game, in a vacuum, Clemson's better. They're getting 12.5 on the road. I can't bet against that. Clemson wins. I think Clemson wins 40. They're going to score. They're going to score 41-28.
I'm going with Clemson over Texas A&M. I'm going to say the score of 30-27. A close win on the road. Clemson over Texas A&M. All right, let's get to the NFL side. Houston, Texas versus New England Patriots. It's going to be a dogfight. It's going to be a live matchup. But I feel like the New England Patriots, with that experience, and you still have Tom Brady and Bill Belichick and Deshaun Watson. It's going to take them some time to get over that ACL injury. It takes about a year or two. And that defense is get all their players back.
It takes 6 months. It was a clear cut. No other ligament damage was done. He's been healthy for a while.
I know that, but to get back to where he was, it's still going to take some time. So nobody's really come back for it. So I'm going with the New England Patriots to win a very close game similar to last year, the score of 30-27.
The Houston, they had them beat last year. Patriots converted a fourth down. They scored what looked to be a controversial touchdown. Maybe he had possession, maybe not. Houston knows what they're going into. They had Deshaun Watson quarterback in that game last year. Had him on the ropes. Winner gets home field advantage. I'm already on camera saying the Texans win Super Bowl 53 this year, and they beat the Patriots in a week one's going to be a little bit of a teeter-totter game there. 27-21, not quite as high scoring.
All right, Kansas City Chiefs on the road versus Los Angeles Chargers. It's going to take some time for that offense to gel. The Chiefs, for one, watching the preseason, it looked okay, but it looked bad or worse, so I give it a decent. Defensively, they're going to struggle. They lost some players during free agency, and they got some players from the free agency as well that's not looking too good so far. The Los Angeles Chargers, they basically picked up where they left off. Offensively, they start rolling when I was looking at the preseason. Defensively, Bosa, Ingram, the 1-2 punch pass rushers, I can't look over that. So I'm going to say the Los Angeles Chargers beat the Chiefs a score of 17-10.
I'm going the other way. Chiefs have won 8 in a row. Chiefs are going to be scoring over 30 points a game this year. They're going to be going over 30 points a game this year, too. Chiefs win this one, though, 37-31.
All right. The Dallas Cowboys versus the Carolina Panthers. Break it down.
24-21 Panthers. They are a 3-point favorite. They are at home. Two, I don't want to say middling teams, but they're just trying to put the piece together. I think Carolina has just a few more pieces put together at the moment.
I'm going with the Carolina Panthers at home as well. They got North Turner as the offensive coordinator. Defensively, they will make more plays to stop the Dallas Cowboys.
I don't trust Prescott on the road either.
Exactly. It just won't go be another long season for the Dallas Cowboys. Offensively, defensively is not going to be there, and they ain't dressed the players that they need dressed in the draft. They let Des Bryant go and Jason Garrett retire. So for those things, I'm picking Carolina Panthers to win of 31-20. Chicago Bears versus Green Bay Packers. Chicago Bears got a steal of Khalil Mack. They didn't care they gave the first round draft picks, but they got an excellent player. 4 years, 50 sacks in his NFL career. Why not? But that bad man, Aaron Rodgers, I can't go against Aaron Rodgers. I'm sorry. With Jimmy Graham and Devontae Adams.
Home game, night game, Sunday Night Football.
At Green Bay Lambeau Field, I'm going to say Green Bay wins the score of 38-20.
No, Bears will keep it somewhat close. I mean, even without Mac, the Bears had a solid defense. 30-21 Packers.
All right, that would do it for the last segment. Be sure to follow us on all social medias, but down below the link of the screen, and also be sure to get your clothes gear on our clothing line website as well. And we hold it down for Marcus, who could not be with us tonight. So he'll be with us next time on the show. Until then, I'm Michael Riley.
I'm Luke Hartnett. Luke Hartnett 2 on Twitter.
Signing off. Gameball College Kickoff. Gameball NFL Endzone, where the football season never ends. Peace.
Football. Just do it.
We are out.